Poets and Quants. Welcome to Center Court San Francisco. This is one of our pre-events. We are going to talk about the online MBA option here today. And I have four incredible representatives from four great programs, each of them quite different, which, we're going to get into that. An online MBA isn't exactly an online MBA. There are pure programs, there are hybrids, there are high-touch programs with a lot of face-to-face interaction, and then others with less. And we'll get into those differences and what the advantages and disadvantages are of getting an online MBA. But first, I want to introduce every panelist that I have here. Welcome. So to my immediate left, I have Ashley Coffer, who's Assistant Director for the Online MBA at Baylor University. Welcome. And next to her, I have Naz Aaron-Gush, who's the Associate Director of Admissions at Florida's Warrington College of Business. And then we have a relative newbie. I think she's only been at Kelly, the Indiana University School of Business, for a couple of weeks. Couple of months, that's right, Sarah Wenger, who is Director of Admissions for Kelly Direct, which is their online MBA. And then we have Kelly Wilson, who's Executive Director of Master's Admissions at Carnegie Mellon's Tepper School of Business. And Kelly's been with us a number of times, so welcome again. Okay, I want to immediately get into the fact that all online MBA programs aren't created equally. So, Kelly, you have probably the longest program at 3 years and the highest touch program with the greatest face-to-face interaction. And then all the way to my end at Baylor, you have a pure 100% online MBA. And then in between, we have kind of hybrids, right? So let's talk a little bit about the differences. Who should go to a pure 100% online MBA program?
I would say someone who needs the flexibility of, maybe someone who's working full-time, has a family, wants to attend a certain school, maybe for the reputation of that school, but can't move to where that is, can't travel frequently for face-to-face sessions. Someone who just really needs that flexibility while they're carrying out everything else that they have going on in life.
Right. And now, Kelly, describe the amount of face-to-face hours in your program.
Sure. So we have face-to-face hours that are both online as well as in person. During the week, our students will take 2 classes a week with faculty live, and so those are 70 minutes apiece.
And I should point out too,
Sure.
because this is an important differentiation. There are programs that have live online classes, and then there are programs that don't have any live classes online or in person.
Right.
Which is how ours is asynchronous, meaning that you don't have to be logged on at any certain time.
Yeah, and that's an important distinction, I think, because some people would prefer one, other people would prefer another.
Yeah. And our program is a mix where there is some asynchronous components, but a significant amount of synchronous or live components. And so 2 nights a week, our students log on to class with a faculty member and their classmates. And then every 6.5 weeks, they come together in one location as a cohort for an access weekend, we call it. So noon Friday to noon Sunday, they're together. And during that weekend, they have 9 hours that they are face-to-face with faculty.
Right. And Naz, how does that compare with Florida?
Yeah, so we've been delivering our online program since
We got a little feedback there.
since 1999, and kind of over the evolution of the last 20 years of offering our online program. We had it, and we still offer as a hybrid model where students watch their lectures asynchronously, but then come back to Gainesville every 4 months for their class weekends where they take their exams and meet their new faculty members. We also offer a fully online program, but even in the fully online program, students are still recommended to come to Gainesville for orientation, and then they have 6 different transformation weekends that they can come, meet as a cohort, meet faculty, meet with our career coaches, and do some more personal professional development opportunities, all while networking with their classmates.
Right. And then give us a little sense of the Kelly program.
Sure. So Kelly has a little bit of both. We have weekly live sessions. So once a week there will be a requirement that students are attending normally a Zoom session with their faculty member. And then the other component is an in-residence. So it's a week-long in-residence, and they complete 2 of those, one at the beginning of their program and one at the end of their program, year 2.
Right. And what do they do when they come to campus?
Great question. So during Kelly Connect weeks, when they come to campus, they're coming to Bloomington, Indiana. So sometimes there's questions about, well, what are we going to do in Bloomington? Well, they're going to be busy for an entire week doing a live case competition. So they do get a little bit of opportunity to meet with their graduate career services rep, their career coach. They'll have time to meet with their other team members, faculty members, but really the focus is on that case competition. So they come in on a Saturday, they present their case on Friday, and everything in between is just a really intense time working on the case.
Yeah, and it is intense. I've been out there for Connect Week, and I've seen the presentations, and it's pretty competitive, actually.
It is
Yeah.
extremely competitive. One of the first things I jumped into coming to Kelly was our Kelly Connect Week, trial by fire, right? So really being able to see that in action, though, was unbelievable. Students have, and I've heard from students, first-year students were a little bit deer in the headlights because it's their first time doing an in-residence. They've been doing some online coursework prior to kind of prepare for it, but really that's their first opportunity to like get together with their faculty and other students. By year 2, they know what they're expecting. They love it. They're coming to, network and get together with their peers. So it's a really fun time.
Great. About the advantages of online versus conventional education. Naz, what would you say are the major advantages?
I mean, I think it's minimal life disruption, right? Being able to, kind of manage and juggle life, school, family, and all your social events and other components that are kind of tugging at your time. Time is limited. And so I think an online program enables students to be able to maximize that opportunity to learn, to grow professionally, but while minimizing kind of the life distractions.
Yeah, that's got to be the major advantage, because obviously there are a lot of people who simply can't take 1 year or 2 full years out of their life, hit the pause button and go back to school. And you may have a very good job that you like, and you don't want to quit it. The other advantage, I think, is that what you learn in the classroom, the virtual classroom or the on-campus classroom, can immediately be applied at work. I want to talk a little bit about that.
Yes, absolutely. We hear that from our students all the time. They might be in a finance class or accounting class, and then they say, oh, wow, now when I go to these meetings, this is starting to make sense to me. So there is that direct application where they're able to turn it around and apply it in their workplace. So that's a huge advantage of doing an online program. And another is, we hear from students, oh, I wanted to come to Baylor for undergrad, but it didn't work out. And now I live, in Georgia, and hey, it's an opportunity for me to still get that Baylor education that I wanted, that I wouldn't otherwise be able to do because I can't just disrupt my life and leave work and move to Waco, Texas. So,
right, which is an important point, because I think, years ago, students were constrained by the geographical boundaries of the universities they went to. And many people went to local or regional universities because that's what was in their backyard and that's what was available. In online, even though it turns out that the majority of students tend to live within like a 150-mile radius of the school, the truth is that doesn't have to be the case. So you could be in another country, you could be across the country, you could be far away and still take advantage of a great university brand in an online MBA program, which is not generally true. And I think that's another really big advantage that's underappreciated. I think another advantage is the fact that you may think that an online MBA is a light, L-I-T-E MBA, but it is not. And many MBA programs that are online have a fairly aggressive portfolio of electives and specialties. Now, why don't you can you major or specialize in a particular area in your online MBA programs? Let's talk a little bit about the variety of that.
Sure. At Carnegie Mellon, there are 6 or 7 different concentrations that our students can focus on while they're in the program, and they're able to do that because of the way that the program is flexible in terms of the curriculum and what's offered. The really great thing, I think, is it allows an online student to step back and think, what do I want to get out of this degree? Certainly the broad foundation of the MBA is important, and that's why we have our core curriculum, but being able to tailor the degree so that it meets the needs of students if they're wanting to go in a particular area, whether it's marketing or strategy, allows them to do that through an online or an online hybrid program.
For many years, Kelly Direct had offered MS degree, dual degrees. So folks come into the online MBA, do a dual degree with MS in strategic management to MS in finance. Well, after a while, we were noticing that was so extremely popular that we just basically revamped our entire curriculum as of last spring. Starting this fall, will be a 50% elective-based program. So that students can choose a major while they're in it. They can still have a dual degree option, but some folks just wanted to really hone in on one particular major and then utilize the rest of those 12 elective credits to just kind of dabble. You know, they might want to take a finance course and a strategic management course, supply chain management course, just to add to the major that they're really going to focus on.
Right.
I think, well, at the University of Florida, in our online program, what we do is the program is a general degree. It focuses on management and leadership, although we have strategically kind of placed the 48 credit hours of the core and the extended core and the electives based off of the strength of our faculty as well as market demands. So it is a general degree. We don't offer any focus areas or concentrations or specializations, but kind of above and beyond that, we give the students the opportunity to come to Gainesville for an immersive elective course, so they can come and take an advanced customer relation analysis course or an additional finance related course or something along those lines. So they can either come to Gainesville or they can go on one of our global immersion trips and substitute one of their elective courses for a global trip. So that gives them a little bit more of that global perspective, and they get to meet with other companies and meet with students face to face and kind of get a little bit more hands-on and experience.
I love this question because we just rolled out 3 concentrations. So prior to this, for our first 5 years, we were just had the general MBA, but now we have added 3 concentration options. So students can choose, if they want to, cybersecurity, marketing, or executive communication. So we just announced that to our current students, and we also asked them, hey, what else are you looking for? We'd love to increase our portfolio, add more concentration options. So let us know, what you would like to see us doing, and we'll take that and look at what strengths we have in the business school and see if we can add more.
Right, good. Now, what do you sacrifice? By going to an online MBA program, what do you lose to gain the flexibility, to gain some of the things that we've talked about right here? Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, I think the knee-jerk answer is one that I'll immediately refute. And so I think the knee-jerk answer is you'll lose the opportunity to build community. At least that's the perception. At the Tepper School, and I know at other programs this is also the case, but at the Tepper School, our faculty were very deliberate in developing the program in the way that it's been developed so that our students are able to continue to build community. And a great example, not only do our students stay in contact during the regular cycle of the online classes, but they're so excited to come together and see each other during our access weekends. And as a matter of fact, in June, we have a student who can't come because she has a wedding that she needs to be in, but she's flying in Friday to see her classmates, even though she won't be there for Saturday and Sunday for the classes. And another thing that we're doing in June is inviting spouses and partners. And so it's a weekend where there's programming that's been created for the spouses and partners as well, in addition to some of the fun things that they'll do kind of after class hours.
And I'd love to build on that, Kelly, because I agree that when probably 10, 15 years ago, when online was relatively new and everyone was trying to figure out what this could look like and what are opportunity areas, there was less connection. We are so intentional now about connecting our online students that I've actually found that our online students might feel even more connected than they do when they're in classrooms together. And although they're physically in the proximity of other students, there's less intentional networking that goes on because they take for granted that, well, I'm in the same room with them, so of course I know them. You get to know someone differently in an online program because you go through these intense week-long, at least for our program, week-long Kelly Connect Week experiences. And to do anything with a group of people for a week in an intense setting, you get to know them in a way that you wouldn't have otherwise. On top of that, we have a Student Leadership Association. A lot of programs aren't thinking through what are kind of extracurriculars that we could provide for our online students in a way that we've been really intentional about. We've specifically said our students want to get to know each other. They want to get together for Global Connect Nights in their cities. So our Student Leadership Association plans a New York pub crawl or something where they're all getting together at the same time, same restaurant, making sure that they are meeting together face to face. So we're really building that in, and I think that intentionality is showcased within an online program, so that we're really trying to refute that misperception in the marketplace.
Right. What does Florida do?
Yeah, so I think for us, it's really important, I think, going off of what, you two just said. I mean, it's really about being intentional about what we're doing and being able to create opportunities in a capacity in which students are able to consume, right? They're already choosing an online program, and so we have to recognize that they're doing this for the flexibility, but what can we do in terms of experiential learning, connecting with our local Gator clubs in their regions, doing our city treks to meet them where they're at, and then being more deliberate when we do require them or recommend that they come to Gainesville about connecting them in other ways. And then, of course, I think the other component is oftentimes we get the question of, well, will I still get the same faculty quality? And we have the same faculty that teach across our portfolio. So, the same rigorous curriculum that our full-time students are getting, our online students are getting. And our faculty have a very, responsive, or a very quick response rate when they're, getting back to students about questions, because they recognize the success of our online students is their ability to answer their questions. So there's a high level of connectivity throughout the entire duration of their program.
And Ashley, what did we do to build community?
So several things. We do have optional trips they can go on with our executive MBA programs, international trips and DC trips. We do watch party type things and for basketball, football, in areas where we have a lot of students. So Dallas, Austin, we have events like that going on. We have an online community that all of our students, so we have about 250 students, they're all in this, it's like a course, it's really like a hub for them where we're always communicating with them, trying to tie them into what's going on campus, make them really, help them get the sense of that Baylor culture. Because we are 100% online, 100% asynchronous, they're not seeing their classmates necessarily or seeing their faculty live, but we do put them all in every single course they're in a study group with other students. Every term we send out a zip code map, which just shows them, here's all the dots, here's where all of our students are all across the country. And so they can see, of course it doesn't tell them who's who, but they can drill in and see, there's 5 other people in my zip code, I had no idea, and they can start asking each other who else is in this city. So we try to do things like that to encourage community, and we have a staff member who says, you're only on an island if you choose to be, because we are always trying to encourage and find ways to engage them.
Right. Now, among some, there's still this lingering perception that online isn't equal to on-campus instruction, and that it's inferior. What do you say to that? Is there an onus that still remains in the marketplace about online education in general?
Well, I think one thing that folks sometimes don't realize is that Indiana University Kelley School of Business offers one MBA. We have 5 different modalities, but we have one MBA, and we have a core of faculty within the Kelley School of Business that teach in all of them. So really that's the focus is looking at, well, if you're going to assume that the quality of our full-time program is better, well, we have the same faculty, we have the same curriculum and coursework and activities and student group projects, things like that across our portfolio. So it's the extremely highest level of quality, no matter what modality you're doing. It's just the difference is how you're connecting.
Yeah. Kelly, you have a viewpoint on that?
Yeah, so from our perspective, it's very much the same in that it is the same program. The same admissions criteria are applied across each of our MBA programs. And our faculty, again, were very deliberate in wanting to ensure that the same faculty teaching in the full-time program were teaching in the online program, and they weren't, you know, recording the lesson and then having an adjunct, you know, do the session. Instead, it's purposeful that our faculty are there in front of the students and beside the students and support the students in their learning. That's an important component of what we believe is a benefit to our students.
Right. And what about career outcomes? Because a lot of people would think that if you like the career you're currently in and you want to get the business basics and learn some leadership skills, but you intend to stay with your company, then it's almost a no-brainer to go and get an online MBA. But let's say you are more like a traditional MBA student going into an on-campus program, and your goal is to transition out of your current job and to seek something new. And it may be an entirely new discipline, or maybe a new geography, a new industry, certainly a new company. Is the online MBA experience suited for that as well, Naz?
Yeah, so we have the same core, you know, business career services team that services all of our MBA students. In fact, we have a dedicated career coach for our full-time students, as we do for our executive MBAs and then our online and professional MBAs. So you're getting the same kind of help along the way. And of course, we have our different buckets, those who are looking to just grow within their organizations, those who are looking to make that career jump altogether or that transition. And so we have a career team member dedicated to you. And so they're meeting you where you need to be met. And oftentimes, I think the benefit going above and beyond with an online program is that you're in a class of, you know, 45, 50 others that are all living, working, and thriving kind of within their careers. And they too can be, you know, advocates for you when you're looking for other opportunities. So not only do you have your career coach, but you have your immediate cohort members that can be the eyes and ears for you. And then you have your larger network. I mean, at any given time, we have about 1,000 MBAs in our Warrington College of Business program. And so that's a lot of people out there working, you know, that could potentially be a great network for you above and beyond our career coaches.
We actually have tailored resources for these buckets specifically. So we have courses, we have resources for career navigators, those who are looking to just move up within their current company, and then career seekers, so those who are looking to move around. And we have coursework specific to each group. Students can actually take those courses as part of their electives. Some choose to take both. They're not quite sure if they're going to stay in their same industry. They might want to navigate up. And we have data to support that 2/3 of our students do move around or move up while they're in our program. So certainly this is a key issue for most of our students. They want to know, what does this look like? So similarly, we have three particular dedicated career coaches specifically for our Kelly Direct online students. So they have access to these career coaches via Zoom, via phone. They meet with them during Kelly Connect weeks. And then all Kelly alumni have career services access for life. So at any point in time, they can call a career coach and kind of figure out what's next for them.
Change careers? Is an online MBA, is that a hindrance? Should I do a full-time program? I think that the brand and the reputation of the school, which everyone on this panel here is with a really strong brand, you know, can take you far, and I think and that speaks more than the modality in which you earned it. Also, you know, no one knows you're earning an online degree unless you tell them, right? And the degree is an MBA. It's not, you know, your diploma doesn't say online MBA, right? It says MBA. So, and just like with these ladies, we have two dedicated staff members who meet virtually with our online MBA students to help them with whatever their career needs are.
Now, in an online program, I think most job opportunities would come by job postings, as opposed to in a traditional MBA program where you have recruiters come to the school and people get on an interview schedule. Is there any extra effort devoted to you know, beefing up job postings for online MBA students and graduates?
At Tepper, it's a little different because our online students are able to apply for the same jobs that our full-time students are. There aren't two separate opportunity sets. And in fact, our online students, if they are looking to make a significant career switch, can transfer into the full-time program and take advantage of career support that way. Certainly we have, just like the other programs, we have career offices that work with our online students as they're looking to move up in their companies. But for someone that's interested in making a significant switch, it's not uncommon for those students to transfer into our full-time program after year one. And then they finish out the program as a full-time student.
Right.
And we also have resources that are available as far as job boards and postings. And we also have recruiters who are coming to campus. But many of our students, on average, our students have 9 years of professional experience. So they have a significant amount of experience in the field. They may be looking for something a little different than looking at job postings on a job board. They're really looking at that personal connection with others who are in the program, who are also seasoned professionals. So different than our full-time MBA, which really does focus on the opportunity for internships and things like that. It's that level of networking within the program that really is what our students tend to be looking for.
I'll just go, even further into that is that at our school, what we do is we encourage our students to go to national career fairs. So all of our students are encouraged and to attend these, and we do substantial career coaching beforehand, regardless of where you are, if we have to set up Zoom or phone teleconferencing or whatever the case may be. And so, we have students that, go to, Forte Forum. We'll have them go to the National Black MBA Association, the Veterans MBA, career fair. So we really try to leverage kind of our network while still utilizing our full career coaches opportunity to connect with students kind of wherever it makes sense for them, whether it be on campus or out in kind of the national market.
Yeah, I would echo that as well. We promote the national career fairs. We do see some of our students come to Waco for our, it's really more our traditional MBA and undergraduate career fair, but they'll come and the employers will, I think, be surprised to be meeting with someone who has like Indiana, our students have an average of 10 years of work experience, and we see them getting interviews and ending up, making contacts, getting jobs that way. Another neat component of our program is because it's not a lockstep cohort model. We have the 12 courses that they have to take, and they can really take them in any order. They're interacting and meeting, networking with people like them who are mid-level professionals all throughout their program. So they're meeting different people all the time, networking, and a lot of students do come to us for our Baylor Business Network.
Can I build on that real
go
quick? We also have seen an uptick in employers who are specifically looking for our online MBA students. So they're giving our career services office a call and saying, I would really love to have a little more access to your online students, because our online students don't have that kind of wait till they graduate and wait till they're done with their program. They can career change at any point. The flexibility of the online space gives them that opportunity. So really employers seem to be looking for online students who really can switch at any point. And we have a corporate recruiting office that is, bringing in new jobs to our job boards. I think the last stat I saw was about 800 new jobs in 4 months. So certainly in this economy, which is absolutely booming, employers are looking for our students, and we're really noticing that they are looking for our online students.
Yeah, that suggests that employer perception of the degree has vastly improved as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think you have a recruiting specialist in LA, in Boston, Atlanta, and Bloomington for the Midwest.
Exactly.
Right.
We have folks all over the nation. We're specifically, we have Kelly Link, which is a job board that's particularly focusing on employers who want Kelly grads. So they understand the power of our network. They know that we have 420,000 alumni across the nation, and that's just really powerful network to be part of. And so they are looking specifically to hire those folks. So yep, our recruiters are out there making connections with all sorts of corporations.
Okay, now all 4 schools have full-time MBA programs on campus. So tell me, who should go to your full-time program versus your online? Kelly?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question, especially that now that we're seeing the economy being very strong and we see a shift in our applications for our full-time programs. But I think if I step back, someone who is looking to make a big career shift, who may benefit from an internship, I think that's where I would start in my conversation with a prospective student. Certainly, a part-time student can make a big shift, and many have over the years of the program. But if someone has the opportunity to step away from work for 2 years and focus on making that shift, that internship can make a big difference in the pivot.
Yeah, and many companies today use the internship as basically a tryout, particularly in consulting and finance, where they want to get some experience with you before they offer you a full-time job. Obviously, in an online MBA, that's not available to you. Now, if you're already in consulting and you just want to be smarter and move up the chain, the online MBA still is a good option for you. But for those jobs where an internship is pretty much required, that's one issue, right? Yeah. Are there any others that one would consider in choosing between a conventional on-campus program and an online?
I mean, I think that, and maybe this kind of sounds similar across the board with you all ladies up here, is that with our online programs, our average professional experience is a little bit more than they are with maybe our full-time students. Our full-time students, are bringing in on average about 5 years of experience. So they tend to be a little bit greener in their careers and maybe a lower level. And so I think jumping into a full-time program, they're able to do a lot more of that career exploration, that self-finding, the internship, or just immerse themselves in the curriculum to become, at least in our case, because we only offer focus areas and specializations in our full-time MBA, they can leverage being a subject area expert as opposed to maybe having, enough professional experience to leverage that competitive move.
Yeah.
One thing that I would just like to mention, because it's been mentioned a couple of times, our online students actually don't differ that much from our full-time students, which is, I think, a little interesting. And so maybe it's because of the hybrid nature and the depth to which the student experience allows them to have that kind of full experience. I'm not quite sure, but it's an interesting difference, I think.
Also, I should just point out too, and you mentioned this very briefly before, but I believe that Carnegie Mellon has the only online MBA program where when you're accepted, you can literally transfer into the evening program, or you can transfer into the full-time MBA program without a hitch, right?
Right. As long as you're in good academic and good student standing, John.
Yes, we don't want the flunkies getting moved into the full-time program.
No, but and quite honestly, our students, because we have the same admission standards, we wouldn't see that anyway. But to your point, this is an exciting opportunity for someone to even stay at work an extra year and then transfer in as a full-time student, if that makes sense. And it's interesting to see over time, where we've had a full-time student who kind of life happens and they've been able, this person I'm thinking of was able to move to New York because his wife got a really awesome job there, and he was able to finish out his degree as an online student.
Occasionally, we find that we have students who are really focused on wanting to attend recruitment fairs on campus, meet with recruiters, a little bit more traditional thinking or traditional program. And we've noticed that even some of our online students are looking for that experience. That may be a misperception in the marketplace that that's the way that you find the job, and not quite realizing that really there's a number of different ways. Once students are in our program, I think they, oh, okay, no, it's just not recruitment fairs. I can do more than that. I have access to grad career services. But at the get-go, some are really focused on wanting to attend recruitment fairs and meet on campus with recruiters. Well, if that's the case, the full-time MBA is a better fit. Now, certainly you can attend either option. And of course, once you're in it, you're going to realize that you have more services than that. But occasionally we find some students who are really adamant about that. And then, it's the type of student I'd say the full-time is the best fit.
We have two really distinct populations. Our full-time MBA is that early career, either right out of undergrad or just a couple of years of work experience. And then our online program is average age 36, average 10 years work experience, have already had that supervisory budget management experience, things like that. So they really are distinct. And then another distinction is our full-time program has a healthcare specialization and an entrepreneurship option that we don't have in the online. And a lot of students will come to Baylor for that that healthcare specialization that they can get through the full time. So
I
that's
bet you're going to have those specializations in your
Well,
online program soon.
time will tell. We'll see, but that is a really big focus. There's a big internship component for a full-time program with the healthcare, so that's something that draws them in. But then with our online, we have a huge military presence. Actually, the flexibility of our online program really makes it a great option for. I mean, we have active duty students in Afghanistan and just all over the world who are, are the flexibility that our program offers allows them to get that MBA. And then we have several faculty who have a military background. So that's another, kind of distinct group that we have within that online MBA.
I imagine that there are a good number of military people in most online MBA programs because of that very reason, right? You can still serve the country and get a degree at the same time, and kind of fast track your transition into civilian life once you get out of the service.
Exactly. We have a huge a number of military students and veterans and active duty. And exactly for that reason, they get to do this from all over the world, essentially, is the only tricky thing there. And you had asked earlier about, what are the challenges of an online program? Well, team and group projects, you're really juggling time zones in a way that that you might not have expected to. But that's also something that's part of working globally now. So our students have to be able to make sure that they can understand time switches and make sure that they're getting together for their group projects just like they would at work. And you find a way to make it work.
Great. Now we have the first of a couple questions that just came in from our internet audience. And I want to remind everyone out there that if you go to our Facebook page and simply ask a question, we're happy to answer it. We are broadcasting live on Facebook as well as on our homepage at poetsandquants.com. But let me throw this first question out. It's about acceptance rates, because everyone worries about, oh my goodness, I'll apply and maybe I can't get in. I think in general for online MBA programs, the acceptance rates are significantly higher than they are for traditional on-campus programs. Can you give us a sense of what your acceptance rates are?
Well, I'd love to jump into that because acceptance rates for the online space, there's a misperception around acceptance rates due to, I think, the differences between a traditional full-time program and the online space. In a traditional full-time, usually, at least with our programs, we have an application deadline. We accept applications until that deadline. At that point, then we look through them, we're reading through, we're vetting, we offer interviews, and we kind of streamline and narrow from there. In the online space, we actually have an inverted process compared to that model, where we start, whenever someone inquires, when they apply, we start with the interview. Because we don't want to have someone go through the rigmarole of applying to an MBA program. It's a lot of work. It's a monetary investment. So we do the interview first and foremost. We're able to vet for fit to make sure that the student is a good fit for our program. The student is able to vet for fit, make sure we're a good fit for them. So that half an hour, 45-minute conversation with that student's pretty in-depth about their career goals, what they're looking for in an online program, what they're looking for in an MBA in general. Are they a career navigator? Are they a career seeker? Do we have the right services for them? And then we ask questions around their application, kind of our criteria and what that might look like. So students self-select out of the process after that interview. And we also encourage students to maybe find a different program that might be a better fit for them after that interview. So the folks who actually move through our application process, those are the ones who we've already vetted. We feel like they're going to be a good fit for our program. So again, there's a little bit of a misperception on higher acceptance rates in traditional, but I would guess that many of our programs operate similarly, where we know that this is a significant life investment. And with online programs, more students are applying to multiple options because they have that flexibility of you can do an online program that's based in New York or Bloomington, Indiana, or Minneapolis, Minnesota. So they might be applying to multiple programs more so than they might in the traditional space.
Right. Anyone else have a comment on that?
Yeah, so usually, similarly, we try to vet students beforehand, but kind of time, cycle after cycle, usually our admissions rate is right around 40%. But usually we try to vet those, we probably are one of the few schools that still require a GMAT or GRE score, and we can't waive that based off of considerable professional experience or things like that.
Sure.
So oftentimes we try to let those who are going through the process know that as part of our admissions criteria, we're still looking for this. So we don't want somebody to waste a lot of time, energy, and sweat equity going to the application cycle if they aren't going to be considered at the end of the day.
Right.
And I think the important thing is that when we admit people to our program, and I think I would speak for all of us, but certainly for Carnegie Mellon, we want to make sure that our students are successful. And so it's less, for us, it's more about the potential for the student to succeed in the program and that they've demonstrated the ability to do that through the application. And I think those are the kinds of conversations that we're having with candidates that allow them, as they're going through the application process, to have confidence, or maybe to boldly apply and maybe have some overconfidence, but at least we're having those conversations. And I think that's an important part of the work that we do as we're working with prospective students.
I would agree. Our with both of you ladies, our recruiters do try to vet for fit and make sure that we don't want to accept anyone who's going to be wasting their time and money, right? So same thing. We're looking for the right fit of a person. We try to have those conversations on the front end, so that we're accepting the right folks who are going to be successful.
Right. And as you pointed out, some programs require still the GMAT or GRE, which often can be waived based on professional experience. Other programs do not require a GMAT or a GRE. So, you need to look in some detail and speak to admission staff at the different schools to really get a great feel for what's required, what isn't required. I think in general, applying to an online MBA program is a lot easier as well. Usually the application requirements typically are not as rigorous, meaning with multiple essays and everything else and in-person interviews and whatnot. On the other hand, that probably allows more flexibility to apply to more programs. So you have more options to look at.
Well, I'll fight you on that just a little bit because our
Okay.
application process is the exact same
Is it
for
really?
our full-time.
I know
as our
Carnegie Mellon
online.
would have to be if you're going to let someone on the
transfer.
online program go into a full-time
That's
program. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I've done my job right, then
Yes.
those who get into the program, I mean, we have a very high graduation retention rate of over 93%. So we can be deliberate about saying, look, there's a 15 or so hour a week time commitment to do our online program. So we want to make sure that you're vetted on the front end. And I know for us specifically why we haven't kind of exempt or completely kind of killed the testing requirement is because we want to make sure that somebody has that skin in the game so that we know that maybe it's not the best predictor, but it's a good predictor of how prepared they are to make that commitment right now.
And we do still require GMAT GRE score. That's a significant part of our application process, but we are looking at as a number of factors. Sometimes there's a misperception that someone has 8-9 years in the field and therefore automatically they'll probably get their GMAT waived, because we do occasionally give GMAT waivers. That's not the case if, say, they have a background in an area that is not business related. We want to make sure that they're going to succeed in this program. Our program is a high level of focus on economics and finance and accounting, and you can't just jump into those courses. There's no way. We got to make sure that you have the background that's going to allow you to succeed, exactly like you were saying. So although it can sometimes be seen as just another hurdle, just another thing that you do when applying to an MBA program, there is a method to our madness. There is a reason that we're requiring all of these components, including an interview and including test scores, including a letter of recommendation and an essay. They're all important pieces to the puzzle that let us know that a candidate will be successful in our program.
Our model is slightly different. We require the GMAT in our full-time program. We will waive it in our online program, the GMAT or GRE, if they have at least 4 years of post-baccalaureate professional work experience. But we do require, if they don't have an undergraduate degree in business from an AACSB institution, we require them to begin our program with business foundations courses. So that's sort of our answer to making sure that they're going to be set up for success when they get into the core courses.
Now, here's another question that's kind of interesting to me. You know, when you go to a normal on-campus program, sports is often an important part of the university culture. I mean, it's a bonding thing. People go to the games together. It's a very important part of the conversation that occurs on campus. In an online program, how does that play out? The person is asking, can each of you address this whole notion of the alumni sports network? And does it even exist in an online format? Kelly?
Well, this is interesting. I don't think that Carnegie Mellon is a huge sports school.
Yeah, Carnegie Mellon is not known.
not known to be a
sports.
leader in sports. However, I can just to give you an answer of just how our students connect in ways that you think might not think of or that I wouldn't have thought of. We have students who will have a weekly happy hour online where they'll all log in and they'll have a glass of wine together so they can have happy hour.
A virtual happy hour?
A virtual happy hour.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
about
they're
that?
committed. So not quite sports, but I'll offer that piece of information.
Now, I know, having attended a basketball game in Bloomington at Indiana University, how important sports are. Is there any connection with the online?
Well, after about 2 months I've only been in my role for about 2 months, and coming from Minnesota where, it was a little bit more based on football and things like that. And they got to IU and realized, oh, basketball's a thing here. Hoosiers are really committed to this team. It's been an interesting kind of dynamic of learning just how committed people really are to this team. And when people come for Kelly Connect Weeks, oftentimes they say, can we go visit the arena? We want to go stand on and stand on where the players are, and or go visit. Occasionally we'll have folks who want to go visit the football stadium, and certainly when they're on campus, that for some students that really is a huge connection point, which I appreciate. I was a theater major in my background, so I just want to go see the theater on campus. That was more important to me. But certainly there is so much about a campus culture and college life that really is important, even for graduate students. It's funny that we often think of full-time working professionals as, well, they're not going to need that kind of fluffy stuff around culture. No, actually, some graduate students, I was just talking to someone at Kelly Connect Week who was telling me, I feel more connected to IU and Kelly Direct than I ever did to my undergrad program. There's something about something we build. And again, it comes back to intentionality around networking, intentionality around creating a culture for our students that is
Right.
very IU.
Now, at Baylor in Florida, do you have tailgate parties just for the online students? Do you invite them to tailgates?
Yes, we do.
You do?
Yeah, around
How
homecoming.
about that?
Yeah, we encourage all of our students to come, students and alum to come to Gainesville and participate in our big fun tailgating event. We also, all of our students gain access to football tickets. So even if you're an online student, you still gain access. So if you wanted to make the trip to Gainesville, throughout the fall for football or basketball in the spring, you're encouraged to do so. And then beyond that, we have over 475,000 Gators out there. We have a very big Gator nation. And so oftentimes when I'm throughout the fall recruiting, I'll connect with our online students and say, hey, I'm going to be in New York. Why don't we go to local tailgate or game watch party? Or why don't we go to, this event that the Gator Club's hosting? And in fact, just last week I was in Chicago hanging out with our Windy City Gator Club. And we had a number of online students there that I was able to reconnect with.
Windy City Gator Club. Somehow I just don't see those Gators in Chicago, but hey.
Well, John, you may or may not know that the Lady Bears won the national championship this year.
Wow, congratulations.
So lots of school pride. One thing, I mentioned that we will invite them to watch parties that are in Dallas or Austin. We do encourage them to come back or to come for homecoming. Anytime something's going on, like let's say, when the Lady Bears came back with their trophy from the national championship this spring, the university had a Facebook Live of this awards ceremony. And so we sent that link out to our students, and we do try to help them feel as much a part, because they are a part. They are a part of Baylor. We want them to feel that, feel connected. And I see that when I give them a call to let them know that they've been admitted. Oftentimes I'll say, I'm going out to buy my t-shirt today, and so we love that. They're coming to us because they want to feel part of our the school pride that we have. And we see that too, on the back end at graduation. 80% of our students come to campus for graduation, which is, to me, a very striking number for an online program that students will
definitely.
come.
Absolutely. Well, what about cost? Let's talk a little bit about cost, because I think cost is an interesting issue in the online space, because you have many schools that are pricing their online programs equivalent to their on-campus programs. And the argument there is that, look, we're giving you the same faculty, the same courses, the same rigorous curriculum, so we think you should pay as much. Then there are the schools that have significantly discounted their online tuition versus their on-campus tuition. And their point of view is we want to make education more accessible to greater numbers of people. And we think that cost is an obstacle to many people today. So we want to price it a little bit less. How do you all come out on this? Who wants to take that first?
So we actually offer a full tuition scholarship for all of our full-time MBA students, whereas our online program, the total cost for the 48 credit hours, if you do the 2-year program, is $58,000 for the full 48 credit hour program. And so oftentimes I get the question of, why is it a higher cost to do an online program compared to in-campus full-time program? And the biggest reason for that is that there are extra resources and costs associated with being able to have the technology behind delivering a program kind of remotely. And because the services are all the same, we try to, you're not getting a light version, right? You're getting the same faculty, and there's a considerable amount of time, energy, and once again, sweat equity on our behalf to make sure we can deliver a similar, program. So our program cost is $58,000.
And I would jump onto that. There are costs associated with an online program, particularly related to, for our program, immersions, or those Kelly Connect weeks, where basically, as long as the student gets themselves to campus, we pay for everything for them throughout that whole week, their housing, their food. So we're making sure that students feel supported and have what they need when they're doing that really intense case competition, so that they don't have to figure out, where are we all going for lunch today? We have that covered so that they can continue doing their teamwork over their lunchtime. So thinking about kind of all the different components that go into costs, we have global and domestic immersion programs where once they've flown themselves to a country like Thailand, everything else in country is paid for. Well, we need to make sure that we have the infrastructure in place that we can support students throughout all of their experiences in the program, in addition to just the course requirements of needing the technology to run the courses. So our program, we're right at our fiscal year cutoff, so we'll be moving just slightly up a little bit, but we'll be around $80,000 for the cost of the program.
And our program is the same cost as the full-time program. So each of the delivery models costs $136,000. Similarly, we are also, funding the access weekends. So there are 6 a year where all of the students come to campus, and similar to your program, once they're on campus, everything is covered until they leave again. And so there are some additional costs that come into play for the online program that one might not think.
Sure. Well, that's 18 access weekends over the course of the 3-year program.
Right.
So that's quite a bit. Yeah.
Our, if they have the background in business and they don't have to take the foundations courses, it's a little over $51,000. If they need the business foundations courses, it's a little over $60,000. Everything that you led with, we have students who are coming to us for our faculty. It is our same faculty who are teaching in the executive MBA and the full-time MBA. We have department chairs from management and entrepreneurship, and 2 of our associate deans. These are the people, the true Baylor faculty who are teaching in the program. So that is certainly a big part of that cost. We do offer scholarships. So we have students are eligible for one $6,000 scholarship. There's a variety of criteria, either GPA or military or employer-based. So yes, it is more expensive. There certainly are places that they can go to get a less expensive MBA, but I think that students have to look at, what is it that I want out of my MBA? And for us, they're coming to us for our faculty, for our emphasis on ethics and principled leadership. And we're one of the few programs that has a Christian emphasis as well.
Right. And it's brand. I mean, it's interesting when you look at the different options that you have in the online space. Brand does matter, and you do pay a premium for a good brand, just as you do for anything. The other thing, you just mentioned scholarships. And, I know that in full-time space, where applications have been declining for a number of years, there literally is an arms war among the schools in terms of discounting tuition and offering fairly generous scholarship grants to get the best students. How commonplace are scholarships in the online MBA arena?
So we do incorporate scholarships into our program. They're at varying levels. And again, that's based on the applicant's background, professional experience, test scores. So we're looking at a number of different criteria when we're awarding them, but certainly they are there. Cost is almost the number one question that I receive. The first question I'm getting that's coming across my desk, emails in the mornings, are from students saying, this is a significant investment in my education, in my career. What are the supports that I might find? So obviously we're showcasing, federal financial aid is an option. Employer tuition reimbursement programs are huge and really key to most of our students. And then again, our students, many of them, 2/3, again, like I said, change careers. We're letting them know this is one of the vetting criteria when you're looking at your next career move is more than likely it'll happen while you're in our program, and does that potential employer offer tuition reimbursement? So you'll kind of have some pathways of other avenues to help you pay for this, as well as just other outside scholarships, which are further few and far between for graduate students, but certainly are out there.
I should point out, which we should have pointed out earlier, obviously one of the key advantages of going online is that you don't have to quit your job, and therefore the opportunity cost of losing income for nearly 2 years in a regular program, you don't have. So number one, you're still on the payroll. Number two, because you're on the payroll, if your employer appreciates the fact that you're trying to improve yourself, and in fact, you're using the experience to probably gain a better position in your company, I would think that there's a high likelihood that you can get some funding from your company. And then the third thing is the scholarship game. I think that in more recent years, in the early years, scholarships are rare in the online MBA space, but there are a lot of options now, and the game is much more competitive. And I think a lot of applicants can ask for scholarship aid and maybe even get it.
Yeah, I would agree. So we do offer scholarships. Ours are payable all in year one, so that if an online student wants to transfer into the full-time, they don't lose that opportunity to get the discounted tuition. But I do think that we're going to see more and more programs offer scholarship, and I think it's going to become even more competitive.
Yeah.
So we don't offer any scholarships in our online, programs, but I will say that, with our program, our deans have very strategically, kind of created that price point. So we are the highest ranked program at the lowest price tag. So, and I will say that also kind of above and beyond that, and I didn't say this earlier, is that we do also offer a 1-year program for those who have that business degree within the last 7 years. And even that program cost is going to be lower. That's total program cost of $48,000 rather than $58,000.
Right. So, well, we're running out of time, but I want each of you to maybe address this question. Let's switch roles. Let's pretend you're an applicant. What are the smartest questions that you need to ask yourself about whether or not an online MBA is a good option for you, number one, and number two, how do you figure out if the program that you have at your school is the right one for me? So what are the smart questions that every applicant should be asking folks like you? Ashley?
This is a really simple question, but something that's very important. Why am I doing this? I think, doing that initial soul searching, identifying why am I getting an MBA? Who is it for? What do I want out of it? What am I looking for in a program? I think now, since there are so many online MBA programs, I mean, it's every day we see in the news, there's a new one, right? That can be overwhelming when you have so many choices, right? The analysis paralysis. So why do you want this? Is there something in particular you're wanting to gain, learn, certain type of concentration or faculty you're wanting to be able to interact with? So asking those questions, identifying that early on for the application side, but then that's also going to help you when you're in the program and you're having hard days. You're overwhelmed with your work and your life and your family, and, knowing your why is going to help you get through the tougher times in your program.
I would just say understand, going above and beyond the value proposition. What are you looking for in a program beyond the why, right? If you're looking at the reputation of the school, the faculty quality, the student quality, the flexibility of the format, and then the overall value, what are you going to get beyond the classroom? I think that there are a lot of transactional MBA programs out there, but it's how do you find that transformational one to meet the needs that you're looking for? So that would be the first thing. And then going above and beyond that, just asking the question of what's the time commitment? What can you expect to spend, per week on this program? And how well does that fit into your life? So looking at the time commitment and then overall retention rate of that program. So.
Yeah, retention rates are important because obviously if you find a program and you see a lot of people dropping out in the first year, that tells you a lot about the quality of the program. And I'm just going to give a nod to a competitor of some sorts. U.S. News and World Report reports these retention rates for online MBA programs, and they're worth a look.
So I'd add, how connected do you want to feel to your program? How connected do you want to be? Physically, how often do you want to be going online and meeting with folks? How often do you want to be going in person and meeting with folks? So how connected do you want to be? And then how connected do you feel when you're contacting these schools? So all of us are going to give different types of customer service, different levels of customer service, different levels of connection, and connection points from the get-go. And so if you're feeling that you want something where you need to feel really connected to folks, well, you're going to know right away if you're feeling really connected to a program and you're actually getting connected to a program. So that's something to just keep in mind, is how connected do you want to be? And I use that's kind of a buzzword in our program, Kelly Connect Week, Global Connect Nights, but really it does come back down to that sense of connectedness and how tight do you want to feel with your program?
Kelly, last word.
One of the first things that when I talk to prospective students, one of the first things I ask them is there another option for you to get to where you want to be? So is the MBA the right thing for you to do to get to where you want to be? And I think starting with the end in mind will help you to determine what the potential path and starting point should be. And if I can, I'll just offer, because you all gave such good advice, those are some of the things that I would mention as well. Just a quick tool that you might create for yourself, a simple Excel spreadsheet along the left-hand side. What are the personal decision factors that you're thinking about? Whether it's how connected do I want to be, what's the reputation of the school? List those down the left-hand side, and then along the top, list the schools, their programs that you're considering. And then for each decision factor for each school, determine for yourself whether that school meets, exceeds, or falls short of that particular decision factor for you, because it's a personal decision and this is a big investment. Once you have that spreadsheet completed, you will see very quickly which schools you should target as you're pursuing your MBA degree.
Great advice. So listen, thank you so much for this hour. I think it's been really helpful to anyone who's thinking about an online MBA. I think you got a lot of really wise counsel here today. So thank you, Kelly, Sarah, Naz, and Ashley. Let me remind everyone that we are here at the Galvanize Center in Soma in San Francisco all afternoon. Come on down, meet schools, participate in some of the panel discussions we're going to have. Share a glass of wine with us. We're really eager to see you, and we welcome you. And I'm just going to give a little sort of promotion for something we're about to do at Poets and Quants on Monday. On Monday, we have a really terrific article that basically outlines who is graduating from online MBA programs. We have our best and brightest online MBA graduates of the year. There are 50 profiles that are in detail and 50 different candidates from all the best schools, including the schools up here, will tell you what their online MBA experience was like, what the biggest surprise they had in it. And it's just a wealth of information about who's going to these programs, what are they getting out of them, what surprises them, and what in fact they would change. So it's a real extravaganza feature, and I think you'll really enjoy it if you have any interest at all in online MBA education. So other than that, we hope to see you, if not this afternoon, some other time. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Thanks for watching.